What up, y'all? We're going to talk sports and cybersecurity. That's right, sports and cybersecurity. Why sports and why cybersecurity? Because they're actually related. I'm talking about game theory. John von Neumann, game theory. John Nash, stochastic processes. So I was mentored by...
Watch out, vehicle stopped on road ahead.
Thank you, AI. Thank you, computer. So I was mentored by a friend of mine from the neighborhood that he and I are from. He's a PhD. I was just one of those average, math kids. I wasn't great at math. I wasn't poor at math. I was just an average math kid, like all the other average math kids who are average. And but I was interested in math because I was a science geek. So I like science. I like science. Have liked science my whole life. So when I was a kid, I liked science, but I was to the extent that I was average at math. So when I was in science class, I did well. I got an A grade in science when I was in high school. I paid attention, but I wasn't a brilliant mathematician or anything like that. I was an average math kid. So, friend of mine from the neighborhood, when it was brought to my attention by a mutual other friend, he was this third other friend of ours. He was like, "Hey man, such and such man is a math wizard." And I was like, "Oh yeah, I believe I heard that from someone else." And he's like, "Yeah, man, I can introduce you." And I was like, "Okay, that's cool." And so I've blogged about this, I've talked about this, but without any delay, the point is that our buddy from our neighborhood, he's a math genius. He's a real mathematician, and he's a professor at a university. So, married with wife and children. So I don't want to put his information out here. But the point is he's the one who schooled us. That is 495, which is the organization of which I'm a member. He's the one that would school us on some of the finer points of game theory. So we would have these poker nights, man. We weren't gambling for money. But you know what I mean? We'd have these parlor nights, man, where we played poker and, blackjack. And, you know what I mean? We just play some card games, man. And so he would teach us from card games and games of chance the different principles and concepts of game theory and probability and so on and so forth. So flash forward to the world of cybersecurity. Because when I was in high school, there was no such thing as cybersecurity. There was no such word. There was no such mantra, umbrella filled that's encompassing, that encompasses all these other sub-builds. There was no mention or talk of anything known as cybersecurity. Now, keep in mind, I was in high school in the...
Watch out, vehicle stopped on shoulder ahead.
Thank you, computer. Thank you, AI. I was in high school in the early 1990s. There was no high-speed internet. Now, I've talked about this a lot. What I haven't talked about is what we're about to discuss today. So game theory, AI, Alan Turing. The movie War Games is one movie that, spoiler alert, basic premise, synopsis, is that Matthew Broderick, he's a computer genius wizard. And he happens to also be a computer hacker who routinely breaks into shit. By the way, I'm Oncer Grove. This is C4CW. That's C4CW, casting 495 celebrities worldwide. And if you are real true fans and not artificial fans, then IWE495 most certainly appreciate you. Got to do station channel podcast identification. So in that, Matthew Broderick, computer hacker, he breaks into fucking shit that he's not supposed to be into, hence breaking into shit, right? And at some point, he finds out about this new game that's available to play. It's actually a series of games. And those games happen to be Department of Defense nuclear fucking war games. But he doesn't, he does. He sees the list of games. It's like backgammon, chess, all these like strategy games that are pretty like historic in nature. Like, oh, there's Othello, there's whatever, Chinese checkers. I'm just saying, like, I'm being a bit facetious, but there's chess and backgammon and this and that, right? And then on the list, it's like thermonuclear war, and he's like, thermonuclear war? Whoa, fuck all those other games. Like, let's play that one, right? That's all I'm going to tell you if you've never seen war games. Never seen war games, I recommend you see war games. It's an older movie, man, from the 80s, but it's not really a fucking joke. It's not really a joke. And I don't know if it's true, but I heard through the grapevine that it's based on some real shit that happened. Maybe there's a wiki on it. I've never read anything about it. I've never really honestly looked it up. But back in the 1980s, some people in the military, because my parents were both military, and I grew up on military bases, I heard a rumor that something similar to that happened. War games, in relation to game theory, in relation to cybersecurity, in relation to sports, games of chance. Shout outs again to the Washington Nationals, even though I'm a Yankees fan and I rock Yankees gear and have since time immemorial, I give props to the Washington Nationals for winning the 2019 World Series. Shout outs also to the Houston Astros for playing one hell of a series of games with the Washington Nationals. That said, today in the news, I'm checking the news updates and headlines, and I see this Forbes article on the feeds, on the news feeds, and this article here is by Kate O'Flaherty. That's Kate O'Flaherty. Cybersecurity section. And it says, quote, "I'm a cybersecurity journalist." This is actually from yesterday. It's dated 30 October 2019. Today, by the way, is Halloween. So this was this was yesterday. Today's the 31st. Today's 31 October 2019. That's 2019. Whereas this article was from yesterday, and it was posted at 1:57 p.m. Now, this is pretty fucking alarming, because what it says is that the gist of it, the basic summary, is that approximately 40 million Play Store, as in like Google, Android Play Store, 40 million Play Store users are at risk due to, it says, quote, a keyboard app called AI.type. AI.type. I've never heard of this until today. Never heard of this keyboard app. Never seen it, heard of it. Evidently, according to Kate O'Flaherty here at Forbes, this is a serious issue. Which brings us back to cybersecurity, AI, and game theory. So my initial thoughts, wow, that's fucking crazy. 40 million is a big number. 40 million people. How many people are there in the United States? It doesn't say that all of these users are in the U.S., but when I last checked, whether it's true or not, because, the U.S. Census, they gather information door to door and through other means, by other means, but it's an approximation. Those numbers aren't exact. So I remember 10 years ago or 5 years ago, when I last checked, there were slightly over 300 million people in America, in the U.S., that is. I'm not talking about all of North America, including Canada or South America, Latin America. No, I'm referring to the United States. There were approximately 300 million people. Let's look it up. Let's see. Let's go. Come on, Google. Let's go. Here we go. Let's see how quick we can get this information today. Population, United States, 2019. Okay, so it says here 329 million people. 329 million people. All right, so let's just do some simple mathematics here. Let's use the calculator. 329, 000, 000, okay. And now we want to, let me make sure I have the correct number of zeros there. And we're just going to divide by 40, okay. 822,500. Okay, so 40 million people. Let's see. Okay. Let's see. Hold up. All right. 0.8225. All right. So 40 times that number there. That's still a very large percentage of the population of the United States. But and keep in mind, though it's not all of America, it's a large portion of America, and it's not just America. It's anyone in the world who has this app that is the AI.type installed. It doesn't say that it's 40 million Americans. It just says 40 million users worldwide. I just wanted to put it into perspective in terms of if you look at how many people are in the United States out of, say, like 196 countries, round it, make it 200 countries on planet Earth. I'm just saying. Not saying there are 196 countries in total. I'm not saying there are 200, but it's close to something like that. 196 is close enough to 200. Fucking round it. Make it 200. This AI.type has affected 40 million potentially users at risk worldwide. What if it were just 1 million people in each country? Well, that's 40 different countries. You see? So putting it into perspective that way, I mean, shit. What if it's just like a few thousand in every country on planet Earth? You see? Now it's, a different perspective. So we're talking about one fucking program. How many viruses are created every week? When I wrote my thesis on the subject of advanced biometrics, at the time, there were only a couple hundred new viruses that were created every week. That was I believe, close to 15 years ago. That was for college English honors. And now, let's see how many viruses are created every week 15 years after that fact. How many viruses are created every week? Should have said computer viruses. It says and I hate to quote these fucking jakes, CNN.com says, now keep in mind, When I did the research for my college honors 15 years ago approximately, there were only a couple hundred I'm saying only a couple hundred in the context of now. Nonetheless, back then, a couple hundred was still a fucking big number. 200 different viruses, computer viruses, that humans had to battle back then. Check this shit out. 15 fucking years down the road, it says, this is from fucking CNN, quote, nearly 1 million new malware threats released every day. Every day. Listen, man, woman, men and women, young and old, those over the age of 18 or 17 plus, whatever the jurisdictional restrictions are and stipulations therewith and therefore. So, I said therewith and therefore. But seriously, 1 million fucking viruses every day. Wow! So, tomorrow, there are 1 million more new different malware threats. So, imagine your NSA, CIA, Government Communications Headquarters, GCHQ, British Intelligence, the Russians, the Chinese, the Japanese, the Europeans in general, the African countries, the Australians, the Canadians, North Americans, whoever. You're a human. Imagine that you're working at a government agency that tracks this type of information. How do you deal with 1 million new threats every day over the next week, month, 6 months, year? What? So you have to be thinking at some point in this hypothetical context, or maybe you work at one of these agencies, or maybe it's not a government agency. Maybe it's a private sector watchdog organization. Maybe it's a computer security research firm. Regardless, casual observer, whomever. The point is, you have to be thinking mathematically at this point. 1 million every day new times 365, okay? We're looking at some number times some number to the whatever number, right? It's astronomical, and it has already reached a point of exponentiation. We're talking exponentiation. Numbers that are as big as the fucking stars in space. How do you deal with that type of threat matrix? How does one deal with that type of threat matrix? Okay, we're talking quantum level shit. Some people see quantum as being at the micro level, whereas other people use quantum interchangeably to refer to the macro level of the universe. It doesn't matter in the context of what I'm referring to. I'm talking about both directions. Infinitesimally small to the Planck length, smallest known unit dimension in our known multiverse universe, to the largest, where magnification is so magnified that it's infinity and it just doesn't even make any fucking sense. It's like infinite mass type shit. That's how big we're talking about these threats are in both fucking directions. So the threat matrix shows that the threats are so diffuse at this point. How do you track that shit? How is it tracked? How do you track 1 million different malware threats per day? Can you do it? Can it be done? Well, quantum computers. Every one of these threats must be identified, labeled, categorized, classified, right? So, do human operators look for each one? Is there one person to identify one virus, malware program per day? Well, obviously, that might not always be the case. So you're going to have computers to identify that there is a malware threat. And then it has to be observed by the human element. Humans have to look at it to know, or try at least to understand what it is. Because you can't have some unknown fucking virus. You just can't. I mean, there are unknown viri, but some would say viruses, okay? But semantics, same shit. Point being is that computers identify that there's a threat. You can't have, in the world of computer science, cybersecurity, unknown threats building up where they stay unknown, they remain unknown, so they all, each and every one of them, have to be classified. They have to be categorized. They have to be first detected by either humans and or computers, because keep in mind, some of them lay dormant, are currently dormant, and have never triggered any type of computer response indicating or suggesting that there is a virus on the network, on the hard drive, in the system. That's the whole purpose. They're Trojan horses. Different types of computer viruses are. So, the computer systems are not always immediately aware that there is any type of issue, that there is a virus, that there is malware. The computer doesn't always know. Therefore, humans don't always know. A human may detect that there's some type of malicious code on the system, or in any given system, on any given system, before the computer does. Nonetheless, what it amounts to and boils down to is it is a race against time to identify every virus that has ever been created. How do you do that? If there are a million new viruses, malware, malicious programs created every day. Well, I just explained it. Quantum computers. Everything has to be sensed, detected, identified, isolated, categorized, studied, analyzed, understood, deconstructed. We're talking about 1 million different entities every day. Times forever. Infinity. We're talking about a never-ending threat matrix. Never-ending threat matrix scenario. Threats everywhere. Diffuse. Spread out throughout the fucking galaxy. So, 40 million users are affected by this AI type. At risk. Potentially. Compromised. Jeopardized. That's one program. So, one can, from that, infer, deduce, ascertain, and surmise, as I say. And I do that for emphasis. I could just use one of those words, and I could just say, as one can ascertain. Some people don't know what ascertain means. Some people don't know what surmise means. Some people don't know what infer means. Some people don't know what deduce means. I say it all for emphasis, to emphasize certain information, certain data, certain topics, certain subjects, so that it's ingrained in the minds of the audience that this is what we're fucking dealing with here. It's for your greater knowledge, understanding. So, I joke a lot, and I do a lot of outrageous stunts, antics, and it's all part of the show. Nonetheless, and despite such, this is really about cybersecurity, and always has been. because that's what we do here at C4CW, casting 495 celebrities worldwide. Yes, it is a security function. Yes, it is a private military company activity. Behind the scenes, we're forever and always tracking this kind of information. Just as Google is mapping the known universe, multiverse. I see these things every fucking day and have for the past several decades, and have kept tabs on them and have created my own databases, if you will, and my own watch lists. I'm just simply saying this popped up on radar. It's something today that has become a conversation piece, and it's not the only security threat. I see across the board on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Google, on social media, across the spectrum, Twitter, the blogosphere, I see threat matrix data all day, all night long. I just don't always talk about it. In fact, I rarely do. But the reality is, that's what we do here at C4CW. So, game theory. We just discussed it. Here's the threat over here, which equals 1 million new threats per day. What's our approach? How do we, as a society, defend against 1 million cybersecurity threats that are brand new, that emerge on a daily basis over this span of time? Game theory. We just discussed a strategy, an approach. There are other approaches. A lot of classified programs. There are a lot of different tools that our governments have that mainstream society is not familiar with. There was a time when it was said that the Pentagon, Department of Defense, in and of itself. I looked at HackerOne. I didn't really participate. I signed up. I didn't really engage or do anything. I wasn't out for any bounties. In fact, I did not like what I saw in terms of the rules of the game. It seemed stilted. It seemed as if hackers who signed up were stymied and stifled in what should otherwise be a full range of capabilities. And I said, you know what, man, this isn't really some hacker shit if you can't do this, this, and that. In fact, I believe they said that you cannot use social engineering. Well, social engineering is one of the highest levels of attack in cybersecurity. So why can't you use social engineering? In a real world scenario, if the Department of Defense wants to defend against itself, well then social engineering should be allowed to be employed. And if you can't include social engineering, then it's not a real world scenario. So I reported that to HackerOne. I said, you know what? This is bullshit. I know there's a lot of hype behind it, and I know it's probably very well intended, but it's not fucking for real. Therefore, I choose not to participate. I signed up, but if we can't socially engineer, then it's not a real world experience. And you're not going to learn what you need to learn if you don't allow for social engineering to be a part of this. Because in the real world, hackers are going to employ social engineering, as did Matthew Broderick in the movie War Games, and as have we in the past. And it's right out of the textbook, the tradecraft of cybersecurity. One of the highest level attack methods is social engineering. You don't need fucking passwords. You don't need to break into someone's fucking network or system in the real world per se. All you need is a closeness and a nearness to that person, and just kindly ask that person for permission to gain access to that person's network by way of deception, similar to, parallel to, and with what Kevin Mitnick talks about in the Hello? Does anybody know Kevin Mitnick? Anyone know the book? Hello? Anyone out here? Anyone out there? The Art of Deception, man. The Art of Deception. Let's look this up. When was The Art of Deception published? 2001. Genre. Anyone want to guess what the genre is? Do 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 do. Do 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 do. That was a really corny fucking corny Jeopardy impersonation. Genre. Social engineering. That's right. I've spoken with Mr. Kevin Mitnick via telephone a long time ago when he was released from federal prison. Real shit. On my honor as a man. And he was quite pleasant over the phone. I respect him for his intellect. And he is someone who is epic legendary. Now the government can talk shit about Mr. Mitnick in the past. Despite such, I believe that Mr. Mitnick, Kevin, was well-intended. He wasn't out for fucking money. He just wanted to learn shit and understand things. And I believe that he wanted to help strengthen the system. I view Mr. Mitnick, Kevin, as a white hat hacker. Some may disagree. That's y'all's opinion. Okay? We can agree to disagree. So, in that, the art of deception, social engineering. If the government wants to play a fucking game, like Whopper wants to play a game from War Games, that's all I'm going to tell you. If you haven't seen it, you're probably like, Whopper? That's all I'm going to tell you if you haven't seen the movie. If the government wants to play a motherfucking war game like Whopper from War Games, and it's cybersecurity related, and it's called Hacker One. This is no disrespect to Hacker One. But you need to allow for social engineering to be part of that, or it's not for fucking real. Now, how many people in the world have said that? Maybe someone else. I'm guessing I'm one of a handful because I reported that to Hacker One. Because I'm a white hat hacker. Full disclosure. I'm not a bad guy, man. No, I'm not. I'm not a black hat. I'm not out to destroy shit. Unless they're fucking enemies of America. I'm not out to destroy shit, man. I'm not. I'm out to help strengthen the system. So I reported it to DOD and authorities. And I just said, you know what, man? You want my opinion because you've asked? Well, here's my opinion. The shit ain't for real. So you got all these people doing all this shit, but it's not the highest level of gameplay. The highest level of gameplay is when it's real. So then, flash forward some time thereafter, Pentagon changed its position a little bit, and slightly, and with the U.S. Air Force hacker for Hackers for Bounties program. In fact, let's look that up. They said it could be anyone in any, from any country. It could be anyone, not just U.S. citizens. Hold on, let's check this out. Hold on. U.S. Air Force hacker competition. The Air Force will. Okay, so this is from Wired. This is 17 September 2019. Quote, the Air Force will let hackers try to hijack an orbiting satellite. Oh, that's dope. That's dope. All I remember, man, from satellites, when I was reading the different schematics of military satellite systems, some fucking, 25 years ago? Something about op codes, like OP, Oscar Papa codes, op codes, and P codes. P is in Papa. Op codes, P codes. No, I know. I remember a little bit more than that. But That's old school. I remember there was the Rhyolite satellite system, Talent Keyhole, some old school shit. But nonetheless, what does this go on to say here? Milsat. What do y'all know about Cobra Dane? Let me see. So, old school. War dialing. Let's see. I'm just trying to summarize this so I'm not like taking their material. You know what I mean? Like it's a scholarly citation. This is new. I didn't know about this until just today. This isn't what I was looking for, but apparently this has to do with, I'm just trying to scan through this, and I saw something about, I saw the part about DEF CON in Las Vegas. For those of y'all who don't know what DEF CON is, it's a hacker gathering that takes place annually. It's quite historic in scope, and yeah, I just don't see anything in terms of when this is going to take place. This is actually a very lengthy article. Shout outs to Wired, the publication that is. So evidently the Gov is going to allow for hackers to do this at some point. I was expecting to see like a date and time and where folks can sign up to do this. And I guess it's right here in the lead to the article. It says right here, quote, at the DEF CON hacking conference next year, the Air Force will bring a satellite for fun and glory. All right, so they're talking about next year. I'm assuming that's 2020. And that's the headline there. So I was just like quickly scanning through the article, and I was like looking for like, on this date, at this time, you can go to this booth or this online like registration URL. But I get it now. All right, so HackerOne. Let's go to HackerOne. Okay, this was HackerOne. And agree to use cookies? No, I don't agree. I do not. But I'm still going to read this information any fucking way. Quote, we use cookies to collect information to help us personalize your experience and improve the functionality and performance of our site. By continuing to use our site, you consent to our use of cookies. Well, I'm continuing to use your fucking site, dude, and I haven't agreed to your policy. How about that? It says, I agree, I haven't clicked it, but I'm still on your motherfucking HackerOne website, HackerOne.com, and I don't agree to the terms of service. Yeah. Let me see. Let's see how far I can get into this shit. Start hacking. Let me click that shit. Okay. Join the world's largest hacker community. It says start hacking. I'm going to click on that. Still haven't agreed to your terms of service. Let's see. A beatbox. Start hacking today. Your name. Bugs you find will be publicly credited. Choose a pseudonym if you want to remain anonymous. What should my pseudonym be? It should be pseudonym B. Yeah. So we'll go with pseudonym B as in Bravo. Email address. Don't have one. Username. Whatever's clever's. With the Z. With the Z. No, I'm just clowning, man. I ain't even signing up here. Because I'm already fucking signed up. But I'm just, trying to, I'm just looking around and seeing, what's going on here on the mobile app because, I'm able to access the website, not breaking into anything, just not agreeing to the cookies policy. How do I choose a program? Let me click that. Can I still see the information? Still able to view the information. Still haven't agreed to the fucking terms of service and the cookie shit. Nope, haven't agreed. Screenshot. Still here at this time of day. Not agreeing. See, quote, picking a program to hack on is easy. Go to the HackerOne programs overview and pick an exciting looking program. Yay! Woohoo! Quote, the overview will list all the public HackerOne programs and the ones you're invited to. Oh, I'm invited. Awesome. Then read the program policy and scope to make sure you don't hack anything you're not supposed to. What the fuck are they talking about? Hack anything a hacker isn't supposed to? That kind of violates the laws. Get it? Laws of hacking. Don't it? So let's see. I clicked on that. Still haven't agreed to shit. Let's see. Directory. Find new hackable targets for contact information to report vulnerabilities you've already found. Program features. Active program. Asset type. CIDR. Domain. iOS. App Store. iOS. Test flight. iOS. IPA. Android Play Store. Android.apk. Windows. Microsoft Store. Source code. Executable. Hardware. IoT. That would be Internet of Things. Internet of Things. And then other. Fuck it. Let's just go with other. And they're going to be like, what other? And I'm going to be like, I don't know. We'll find out. It says program. AO Docs. Razor. Amatree Inc. Developer Data Protection Reward Program. Chainlink. Priceline. Livestream. Z-Links. Lob. Maybe it's Lobe. Postmates. Magneto. No, I'm sorry. Not Magneto. That's fucking X-Men, dog. It says, Magento. Grammarly. You know, I started to use Grammarly, man, but the shit was buggy, man. So I removed the shit from my sys. You know, the lingo. You know what I'm saying? Sys is in, like, system. Then there's a fucking company called Rate Limited, Votes, IBM, Tron Foundation, My Ether Wallet, Liberapay, Jamie Webb, NimIQ or Nimic, CrowdStrike, Ed, Valve, TTS Bug Bounty, Infogram, Bitwarden, Upserve, Spotify, Intel Corporation, Showmax, Brave Software, Ruby Gems, Files.com, WordPress, VHX, Starbucks, GitHub, Local, Tapiola, New Relic, Dashlane, Robinhood, Zendesk, Shopify, Mapbox Air, B&B, Airtable, Ubiquity Incorporated, Kiwi, GitLab, Urban Dictionary, Mail.ru. Ain't that something? Mail.ru. Russian hackers, dog. Automatic, Coinbase, Verizon Media. Didn't find what you were looking for? If you know of an organization's security contact information or a vulnerability, disclosure policy. Well, I tried to call the NSA the other night, man, to let them know about some shit, but the dude was very untoward and standoffish, so I wrote a letter to the Inspector General, and I was like, hey, man, you know, you guys are fucking clowning around, and you're obviously not entirely serious about the shit that you claim to be fucking serious about, so I just won't tell you what I know, you know? Because apparently you don't fucking know. So, and if you don't want to know, then I'm not going to go out of my fucking way to tell you or reveal it or disclose it to you. You know, the government, man, perpetrates like it knows a bunch of shit that it doesn't actually fucking know. And it's really pathetic, and it's really sad. I mean, listen, man, in the past I've had very, very pleasant conversations with folks at NSA security desks. And, you know, I've reported shit that is legit. And they're like, damn, thanks. But that dude, man, was tripping. You know, he wanted me to call the FBI, man. And I'm like, nah, dude, I'm not going to fucking waste my time, dude. You know what I mean? I'm not calling the motherfucking FBI, dude. Like, get a fucking clue, bro. Like, cut this shit. What kind of defeats the purpose of calling your security fucking desk? Listen, man, if you can't handle some shit and you're at NSA and you don't understand, I'm sure you get a lot of nerds, a lot of geeks, a lot of people calling with legitimate fucking information. If you're too big of an organization to field calls from people who know what the fuck they're talking about, and you want to pass them off to the FBI, then the National Security Agency has a fucking serious problem. Because if the National Security Agency thinks that the FBI is going to be responsible to field every piece of reliable, credible, actionable information as it pertains to the NSA smoking fucking rocks, bro. Yeah, that dude was like, you should just call the FBI. And I was like, I'm not gonna do that. I called you, and if you don't want to fucking know, then you can find out down the road. Yeah, I'm the one that fucking told you about some shit. And I'm the one that knows some shit. Yeah, and I don't trust the FBI, because if I tell them, they ain't gonna do shit about it. They'll pretend like they are, but they won't. So, anyway, that's the conundrum, man. So what it comes down to is NSA can only deal with so many threats per day because it only has a classified number of humans on the planet to work there, right? And they're all tasked with something like 1 million different fucking new threats every day. So I'm pretty sure, mathematically, doing simple Gregorian calendar math, I'm pretty sure, man, that the number of threats that already exist, that's right, the number of threats, we'll call that N number of threats, okay, exceeds the number of NSA personnel and CIA and Russian intelligence services, GRU, SVR, and Brits, that's the British, GCHQ, the Australian Defence Security Intelligence Organization, ADSIO, and then, of course, the Canadian Security Intelligence Establishment, CSIE, and all the different myriad organizations from around the world. The GSE, the French, and they're cryptographers and cryptologists. There are millions times millions of threats. And there are only so many billions of humans on this planet. And from those billions, only so many millions of individuals to guard, protect, and defend against the million fucking new threats that are created every day. That's game theory, homie.